Good evening, everyone. Today I will talk about peer observation. Here is my outline. First of all, I will talk about what is peer observation. Secondly, I will talk about the importance of peer observation for language teaching. And finally, I will share some studies with you carried out in this field. What is peer observation? Peer observational teaching is a collaborative developmental activity in which professionals offer support while observing each other, teaching, explaining, and discussing on what was observed, reflecting on understanding the feelings, procedures, actions, and feedbacks, and trying out new ideas in the class while teaching. Also, peer observation involves teachers observing the class of their colleagues and subsequently initiating a contrastive dialogue regarding possibilities of enhancing their teaching practice. According to Richards and Farrell, peer observation refers to a teacher or other observer closely watching and monitoring a language lesson or part of a lesson in order to gain an understanding of some aspects of teaching, learning, or classroom interaction. The importance of peer observation. Why is it important for language teaching? Peer observation mainly aims at facilitating the professional development of teachers, and also it's a collaborative developmental activity in which professionals offer support for each other. It's a kind of a technique which provides chances to teachers in order to reflect, think critically, and get feedback from each other. And there are many purposes to use peer observation in education. I will share some studies with you now, and then we will see what kind of purposes we are using peer observation. First of all, the first study that I want to share with you is peer observation and reflection in the ELT practicum. This study was carried out in 2013. The purpose of the study was to determine if peer observation in an ELT practicum for graduate students led to reflective teaching. There were 15 students in practicum taught EFL at 2 universities in rural Thailand in 8-week intensive courses, and the data were collected by means of 2 questionnaires distributed in different times. At the end of the 8-week practicum, the first survey was distributed, which asked participants to comment on the activities, tasks, and readings that they did in the practicum. Approximately 7 months later, 15 participants were asked to respond to a follow-up survey as the second instrument. The second survey had 3 statements about the peer observation: strongly disagree, agree, and strongly agree. It also asked the participants to explain their responses to the 3 statements. The second survey also had a question about using peer observation in future teaching situations. And the findings of the study demonstrate that the students liked peer observation. They reflected on their teaching, which helped them modify their teaching practices and beliefs. They also showed that the students would engage in reflective teaching in future teaching. They are planning to use it in their teaching. And their reactions to peer observation were positive. It helped them engage in reflective thinking about the teaching and learning processes, allowing them to gain insights into their own teaching. In the second study, reflective on reflecting practices within peer observation, studies in higher education. This study was carried out by 2 researchers in 2005. The purpose of the study is to investigate the role of reflective practice in enhancing ESL teachers' awareness of their own classroom teaching, contributing thereby to their professional development. This paper examines peer observation and journal writing of 2 teachers working on the same language program in terms of a variety of topic headings, and suggests that reflective practice can be a useful tool for both classroom research and teachers' professional development. There are just 2 teachers as participants working on the same language program, but with different backgrounds. And the teacher participants maintain journal writing and peer observation as a means of reflective practice. They consider these practices as a mirror, which reflects the teacher's own image as a practitioner. And there are two data collection tools, an informal interview and teachers' journals. The results show that two college-level teachers of English who were committed to improving their classroom practice found themselves gaining a deeper understanding of several classroom issues and developed, because of the understanding, alternative conceptions of teaching and alternative instructional practices. So they found journal writings and peer observations very useful. And the third one, foreign language teachers' professional development through peer observation program. This study was carried out in 2016, and the purpose of the study is to explore the development of peer observation program for the use of an extension language school in Hong Kong. Data was collected from 6 teachers who participated in peer observation program in Hong Kong through an interview process. And the data collection tools, the semi-structure interview was employed. In semi-structure interviews, the researcher presented a list of topics and questions for discussion. These topics and questions were prepared before conducting the interview, and also they conducted a kind of meeting to decide the observer pairs. And the research has found out that the peer observation can be a good tool for continuous professional development for teachers in order to develop their teaching strategies. This is especially important within the field of language education. From the analysis, most teachers are aware of the practicalities of peer observation due to the sensitivity that is associated with it. The research also found out that teachers think that if the peer observation approach is well developed, it can be potentially interesting or generate excitement among the teachers. And one of the teachers who participated in the study stated that if the peer observation is for evaluation, I hate it. But if it is for development, I love it. It's an interesting statement from the teachers that I want to share with you. And the last study is peer observation, a professional learning tool for English language teachers is an EFL institute. The key aim of this study is to explore the perceptions of English as a foreign language teachers about peer observation as a tool for professional development that is implemented in an English language institute of a Saudi Arabian university. And the participants of this study were EFL English teachers working in the same context. At the ELI, there are more than 50 EFL teachers from 20 different countries. They have different backgrounds. In this study, only 13 EFL teachers participated and responded to the survey questionnaire. And the data collection tools, it utilizes a mixed method approach and applies a questionnaire and semi-structured interviews as data collection tools. Questionnaire is used to get information about EFL teachers' perceptions, whereas semi-structured interviews provide an insight into their practices in the form of peer observation and future plans for PD. And the participants share their lived experiences who consider the current practice of peer observation a consistent professional challenge due to several factors. For example, their lack of autonomy in deciding about the peers, trust deficit between administration and EFL teachers, rarely held peer-observation conferences due to the loads of teaching hours, observers insufficient training and qualifications in conducting peer observation, and the elements of threat and insecurity. And the findings of the study showed that the effectiveness of peer observation and how it can help teachers develop professionally in Saudi EFL context. The responses of teachers were positive towards PD activities. However, EFL teachers seem to have a lack of trust in administration, and to bridge this gap, the need of this time is perhaps to negotiate and collaborate before arranging PD activities in order to retain the trust of the teachers. These are the results of the study. And thank you for listening. I tried to explain you the importance of peer observation in the lessons in some context. and I showed some studies carried out in this field.